Actually, are you going to be rolling?
Oh my god. No, but I'll tell you, like, one major thing I would say is, like, we're living in such crazy times.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes whenever you look back at like what happened in World War II, and we look at it, we study in history books, or what happened in other moments of history, such historic. This is also one of those historic times. Like
Why do you feel so?
COVID, man.
Oh yeah,
COVID,
100%.
110%. Like, for
100%.
sure, this will be taught in the history books of what people will ask us. Our grandkids will ask us,
I
what was
mean,
COVID like?
yeah, but quite honestly, yes, you're right that we have. But don't you think that there have been many different, like we've had plagues. I
Nothing
can't
like
remember.
this.
I can't know. There were
Of
the
course.
Spanish
The
something.
Spanish flu
The
in
Spanish flu was
1917.
yeah, whatever, and that killed a lot more people, and
Oh,
the
yeah.
population was a lot
100%.
lesser. But obviously, the technology wasn't as advanced
But as
as
you
us
see,
today.
because of World War One and Two,
Yeah.
so much of humanity changed because of that. It was
Of
not
course,
because
of
of what
course. These
happened during that duration.
yeah, yeah,
It's what happened because of that.
yeah,
So there were very few women in the workforce before the world wars.
yeah.
Most of the men had to go to the wars, and thus women had to come into the workspace. Then that was one side. A lot of machinery came because of world wars. A lot of different
Yeah, but
inventions came about. Economies changed. America became number one because of World War. So, like, what we have is COVID plus Russia Ukraine happening.
yeah.
I think this is one of the most important times
So you
in
feel
our.
what is the prediction? Like you feel that it's going to go to World War III, or you feel
No.
some new superpower is going to
New
emerge?
superpower for sure.
Or who do you feel that the new superpower is going to be?
It won't be just one country. I think it'll be a region of, basically, if you have to talk geopolitics,
Yeah.
I'll just say that basically America is on its decline. It's still number one, but it's afraid to use. I think as humans, we're just afraid to get into a hot war. We've not seen a hot war as we just saw Russia, Ukraine just now.
Why? I mean, I think Libya, Iraq,
Yeah.
yeah,
A
they've
lot of
been
them have
really.
been civil wars, though.
No, but like, how is, I mean, Iraq is not a civil war.
Iraq was not, definitely
Libya
not.
is not a civil war. Syria is not a civil war. I
True.
feel no, but I just feel that America will not push another superpower. They know that they can't beat easily.
Their bluff has been called.
Yeah, the bluff has been called. Exactly.
That's why, like, I feel like it's very important as humanity wise as well. It's very important for us to just have conversations as such, have these sort of understanding of chronologically understanding what is happening, what are we going through as a species.
More than also having this conversation. Have this conversation. I think you know, without any bias. Like if I tell you something and have this conversation, you can't go back and be upset about it. You must have a real conversation and be okay with it. Like
Has it been difficult having real conversations with people?
always is
Or like
because
without offending people, because you are a person who can offend. I'm also a person who
I
can.
mean, we both are. I think we can people who speak our mind. We're very opinionated, and of course, we have our own beliefs. It's strong, but I also have this notion that somebody else also has strong beliefs, and we both can coexist together. I mean, that's the most important part that we must understand. I feel that this is such a miss in our society right now that the simplest thing you might say will offend somebody in a very deep manner that you don't want it to.
And what is being offended? Being offended is like, I didn't like what you said.
Exactly.
And
That's
now
what it is.
I'm going to block you and
Yeah.
this and that. And it's just shocking. Like, I'm a person who's very open with like, you've seen my Insta and all of this stuff. I'm very open with whatever polarized thoughts I have sometimes. But I'm open to seeing a different version of it. I'm open to a
Exactly.
debate.
Yeah.
But no one knows how to debate nowadays. Their main thing is, oh, you like this guy, you're a Nazi. Oh, you don't believe in this, oh, you suck. And it's just like, and there's, by the time you try to get into the debate, or they've already blocked you, or they're offended, or they've called you something
No,
very
there
personal
is-
where you can't go back into that debate.
That's the problem, that people have no, how do you say, patience anymore to listen to another person's perspective. I mean, everybody is so set in their ways, and I think the word I use is brainwashed into following their own rhetoric. They want to not understand anybody else's experience slash. Somebody's thought process. It's just a different thought process. He may be wrong or he may be right. You never know. But the thought process, the problem is that we are not ready to listen. we've already been stuck so heavy and hard in our own, it's stone clad, what we believe in. So the problem is that what somebody else believes in is wrong. That's the kind of general notion. And I believe that should not be there. You must learn to coexist. People are going to have different kind of views and opinions.
You must be open to also say, actually, I was wrong about that.
Actually, but that happens only in conversation. If you are not going to talk to somebody, how can you even understand that, like, okay, fine, maybe I was wrong. Like, where's the education? Where is the, thought process for anybody to understand each one?
I actually respect people the most when they actually say, okay, you got a point there.
Yeah, of course.
Wow, you actually opened your mind and was actually willing to absorb and see my perspective, because I think like Sadhguru also, do you follow Sadhguru?
I've watched a lot of his videos. Yeah.
His best statement I love is, don't be a believer, be a seeker. Because when you believe something, then you're just closing yourself off to all other notions, whatever possibilities is there. Because like when we're in our 20s, we come out with this extreme energy of like, yeah, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that, and we are just already setting up we don't realize when we look, as I'm a 34-year-old now, I look back, I'm like, that guy was an idiot. He had no idea what was he talking about. He was brash, or he was overconfident or cocky or something. And that's only age. It's only ourselves.
It's experience more than age. It's experience, because you go through life. If you become older and you're sitting in your house and looking at the same thing and listening to the same people at the same time, you will not grow. Your experience grows you. The more number of people you meet, the experiences you have with work, whether you rise or you fail. I mean, I think failure teaches you a lot more than your gain, because once you fail.
What's an example for you? Some belief you had before and you changed with age.
I think, to put a point on it, I would say my recent failure of my business, where we started something called Apple Pie. It was supposed to cater to people in the metro station, whoever travel in the metro. It was like very simple food, like sandwiches, samosas, juices, whatever, fresh. And we wanted to open a lot of these in metro stations. And I was like, it's a no-brainer. Tomorrow it's a no-brainer that like I can open this and it is going to run, and which I did, and it actually ran pretty well. But what I learned from my experience was that, like, even if it's 100% win-win situation, there is something that can come and like absolutely screw it up. Like, for example, for me it was COVID, right? It was an act of God or whatever you want to call it, like whatever. I mean, like, so for me, I've realized that even if you put in 100% effort, even if you put in, your product is right, but if the situation does not, like,
Murphy's Law.
Yeah, Murphy's Law. If that doesn't seem fit, you'll fail. And you must realize that it is not a matter of effort, only effort and only your idea. It's also people, things around you getting into the right, like in the right balance, so that you can do well. You can have the best idea, but like maybe the weather doesn't allow you to, or so for me, what I learned was that my experience is not only limited to myself, but everything around me. My whole surroundings affect me. So I have to be thoughtful of that, and I think move ahead.
The real world is such a...
It's like so many things. It's a leveler, exactly. It's such
like
a leveler.
Our bubble can tell us you're awesome, you're doing
exactly.
Oh, what an amazing idea, you're killing it. But in the end, it's the market.
Yeah, exactly.
The market, it's the real world out there.
Yeah, it's a real world. And you know what? You can be the best at what you think, but like you go out there and, there must be somebody less qualified than you, less experienced, and probably... for some people they say less smarter as well, but they must be doing much better because they have a better understanding of the situation and they're more real about their situation. Like, some people just like go in there blindly and they're like, no, I can do this. And some people are very confident. Yes, you should be confident, but there are so many other factors that determine like success and failure. And for me, failure has taught me a lot, to be humble and to understand whom I actually will be around me when I'm failing. Like everybody's around you when you have a lot of success. Like, yeah, everybody's like, yeah, come on, let's do this and let's do that. But when you actually fail, you realize that how many people are there with you, how many people will support you will be like, okay, fine, no problem, I'll help you out. There are not a lot of those, you know.
Like, so when I was in college, we had these Swedish guys come, and they were, and we noticed like all of us Indians and Pakistanis, we were all joined the college at age 18. Right after school, we joined college. The Swedes and all these Norwegian, all these people, they were 20, 21 years old. And we're like, why so late? And they have this concept of a gap year because that part of the world understands the importance of not just absorbing and ruttoing knowledge. It has to be go out. So they say, have this gap year, go travel, go work,
Yeah.
go fail.
Yeah.
Because that knowledge or
Yeah.
what you gain from that real world is so much more important
I agree.
than, okay, I finished college, now I do, so I finished school, I do my college. I finished college, now I do my MBA, and now I'm ready for the world. No, you're not. You
Yeah,
have
exactly.
no idea. You've just hogged up, you wasted your dad's money, and you've just hogged up a lot of time and without really seeing the real world.
The thing is, I think that's the situation with our education system as well. Like, you know, there is a certain I think it's to do with brackets of your income, and when your brackets of your income happens, like, you know, when you pass 10th class, you can earn only this much money. You know, मतलब तुम 10,000 ही हो सकती है सर, or you know, and you 12th class, so now you can earn 20,000 rupees. When you've done like a degree, now your first job you can apply for a job that is 25,000 rupees, and you have a chance to grow, like, you know. And then when you've done your MBA, oh, the first job I can get, oh, I've got 12 lakh rupees package. You know, that is the I think that's what's consumed the world. Like, how much money will I make as soon as I get out? Like, college is my investment, and I take money, I take loans. I ask my father, you know, whatever it may have been, and I study to this level. And now the first thing I can do is get a job worth 1 lakh rupees or 50,000 rupees, or whatever it may be. I mean, I may be very wrong, but I'm just saying in general, that's how they look at an education, rather than looking at an education where you better your own skill set or what you are good at. Like, to see tomorrow, I mean, when I was in school, I was never good at, like, you know, history and social sciences and, you know, like maths for that matter. I was good at sport. You know, that was my
But remember, when you're in college, if you're bad at grades, this way it's just constructed, they make you feel like a complete loser.
Exactly. So
It's
for
like
me,
embarrassing. People commit suicide because they failed something.
Exactly. So that's exactly my point. When, you know, when you are studying and everybody's different. Everybody has their own skill set. Everybody is smart at something and weak at something else. You know, but in our education system, I always feel that these systems are not valued. Like, you know, you're just judged at one thing. How much did you get in mathematics? How much did you get in science? How much did you get in history? Oh, 94, very well and good. Now you can become doctor. Now you can become engineer. Now your life is set. There is no other. There's no like,
You know, if you notice one thing,
Yeah.
like I can go on about like what's flawed with our system, because I also studied in Sri Lanka,
Yeah.
and it was a British school. But I realized that, wow, how badly we were teaching our students in India. Because we were not teaching there were no team projects ever in us. So we didn't know how to work with people.
Correct.
It was all like the nerd is doing his own thing and
Yeah.
we are doing our own thing. We're just jumping around. So there was no real like understanding of teamwork. There was no proper real life example case studies. There was no case studies given to us in Indian educations where they're showing this is what actually
Practical.
happened. What is practical?
Yeah, what's
you know,
practical,
like
yeah.
what is inflation? And actually, okay, we read inflation. Inflation is the rise of prices and their
But
worth, their
there's
value.
no real world experience.
But what is the actual reason? Like, we are experiencing inflation right now.
Of course.
You know, so there's so many other things, and you can only understand them through practical life lessons as such,
Experiences,
or like I if I had to redraw India's education system, I would say first of all we have to have teamwork. Classes where you work with different people,
Yeah.
so you understand dealing with different personalities.
Correct.
Because when you work with people, you realize, oh, they didn't teach me this in college.
Yeah, of course.
Like, oh, this one is a sensitive person, or this one's a overconfident person, this
Man
one is a lazy
management.
person.
Yeah, man management.
Man management is so important.
Yeah, exactly.
It is so much more important in making a project work than anything else. A lot of times when we are coming up with a business plan, we spend 90% of our resources on the idea. But when you actually execute it and you look back at what your original idea is like, it has no semblance at all to what was the actual plan.
Because the actual plan is made by one person and you're working with 10 different people, and you definitely get to know so many different more angles to what you would have thought. Like if you have thought in 10-degree angle, there's 360 degrees. How would you know if you're not working with other people? I mean, like, that's definitely one of the biggest problems in school system, which, I never worked on a project with people. Like, I was not encouraged to also. And even if I was encouraged to, I was not teamed up with people who I would hang out with. I would only be teamed up with my friends. Like three of my friends, we would do it together. I would never be teamed up against some person who I disagree with. Like, we would all agree on the same thing and we do it the way we like.
There's a famous quote that says, "Man plans and God laughs." Like, yo, you think you'll be a millionaire by 32? Okay, sure.
Good luck with that.
Boom. It's very interesting. Like, okay, wait. Just continuing on the education point, sports, for example. Again, in Australia, like a country which has a population of Calcutta, for example.
Yeah.
They have a cricket team which is better than all of India. They
Not-
win Olympic medals where
I think
India
not right now. I wouldn't say cricket team. I'm a big
maybe
fan.
not right now. We have to discuss that. But still, like a country of that, over there, every student is doing at least 3 sports. And if doing a sport changes your personality.
100%.
100%. Because that's where you actually have teamwork. That's where you have actual planning. That's where you have a lot of different tangents.
More often than planning and teamwork, what you do is you compete. Okay, and when you compete with somebody, when you're in that zone where you want to win 100%, you want to do better than the other person. At that time, you really see who the other person is.
Yeah.
And what is the level you can go to, and what will they give to beat you.
Yeah.
That is something that is so
There's
important.
no participation prize.
Yeah,
in
there's no
sports.
participation prize. Exactly.
Zach doesn't like-
That is the beauty of it. So that's exactly what you're taught. Like I am so for sport for that reason, because you are constantly competing, even with your teammate. Like even if I'm playing cricket tomorrow, if Surya and you and me are playing, if you score 20, I want to score 25. You score 30, I want to score 35. That's the way you think, and that's the way you behave, and that's how you push yourself even more, and that makes you push yourself even more. So that really encourages you to be in a environment where you're constantly competing and you're healthily in a team. There is an overall picture also. You and me may compete for runs and wickets and how many catches, and I fielded better than you.
Yeah.
But you're also doing it for a common goal, which is the team.
Yeah.
So it really helps you compete in a healthy manner. Like, I don't want to kill you later. Like,
it's done.
Yeah, it's done.
The game is done. We had fun. Someone's a winner, someone's a loser.
Exactly.
And you learn from it. Next time, come back stronger.
100%. And that, in my opinion, teaches you a lot in life. So I can compete with you in real life as well. And if you do better than me, I don't have to like hide myself and hate you. I can come back tomorrow and compete with you again. Every day is a new day. But that's not what everybody learns. Everybody is trying to compete, and when you lose, you're like, oh my God, like some time ago you said, there's so much pressure that people are committing suicide. There's so much pressure, and people are not. If you fail and if you don't and you compete and you lose, because that's all we're doing, whether it's education, whether it's sports, whether it's in our business, whatever we're doing, we're competing, to do better for our lifestyles, for our families, for ourselves, and make something of ourselves. But the society pressure is also so much on you. Like, if you don't do something, everybody's like, oh no, he failed, and like everybody's talking about it, and so the character is not built to handle this. But what I'm getting to is, with sport, you have done that, and people have ridiculed you, and you've come back again and done better. Even if you have not, you have learned how to deal with it. So that's why I feel sports is a very important thing.
Sports is like very important. But like, okay. So we discuss sports basically.
Yeah.
Another part is history.
Yeah.
I love history.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I love history to the core. Why history? Not just because I'm a history nerd or something. It's because history is exactly like past human beings telling you like, hey, we failed in this.
Yeah.
Don't repeat this
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Like exactly Spanish flu.
Yeah.
In the Spanish flu, when we were going through COVID, when first wave was over, we thought we were done with it.
Yeah,
But we
yeah.
didn't learn from our history, because in the Spanish flu, the most deaths happened in the second and third wave.
Correct.
We've learned, don't drop an atom bomb on a country, because this is what can
Yeah.
actually happen. You know, it's very, very important to learn from history,
I
because
agree.
that's the only way we can evolve. If we
100%.
otherwise repeat the same mistakes again and
I mean,
again,
you are doomed. Then
yeah,
you are doomed.
then you end up eating raw chicken again, and then you get salmonella again and again, and then
Yeah.
humanity ends. So it's like
Yeah.
history is a very, very important thing. Sometimes I talk to people and then they're just like, "Oh, what's the point of history, man? It's happened already." Who cares? I'm like, you're just. It's like watching a Game of Thrones, but watching it from season 5, not knowing what happened 1, 2, 3,
No,
4.
but also these people are all stuck in their own zones where they are thinking that, life is Instagram and my cool car and my hot girlfriend. Like life is.
Were you like that?
Life, of course, I think we all were like that at some point in the other. But you evolve. But I'm like 36 years old, and evolution must happen. Like today, when I was 21, if I was still the same, then like you said, what's the point of history? I've learned from my mistakes. I've made a lot of them, and I've learned from them. Therefore, I'm better today. But a lot of people tend not to. They try to be stubborn. They want to be still have this thing. But I don't know. I mean, I've always learned from my mistakes. I want to learn from my mistakes.
No, it's very like nowadays, whenever you like talk to someone about history or politics or any of these sort of things, and people just do not, they have this fear, I feel, where they just do not want to be proven wrong on the spot.
But it's okay to be proven
No,
wrong.
but I know that's the problem, is that they feel that person's opinion is so much more of me, the opinion of me is so much more important that I will go punch that guy in order to win back my respect in his eyes.
Yeah.
But actually we realize that it's really not important. Like we have friends as well. I have friends who've broken the bank just to buy a car or to get that house.
So not broken the bank. They're indebted.
Yeah.
Indebted.
Completely, it makes no sense. I'm like, do you really need this car?
No, they do not.
You do not. Why? What is the whole point of this whole exercise? And that's subconscious in all the
Simply,
head.
simply saying to look cool.
To look cool. But what they want subconsciously is that pat on the back, that verification, that validation, that you're killing it. Like an Instagram tick mark, for example. It is made out of thin air. It didn't exist some time ago. But for today, people are willing to spend lakhs on it to get that. Why? It's just a tick mark on a certain social media site. It makes nothing.
It's public approval. No, that's what it is. In general, like the tick mark is public approval. If you have that, then you somehow feel more confident about yourself. And, that's a measure now for people. Like, maybe 10 years ago, that was not a measure. Now I feel it's a measure. Like, kitna followers hai Instagram mein? How many likes you got? And you know how many people are following me. This one is following me. That's also a thing. Like, what do you mean this one is following you? Like, does it matter? Is that a person, like when you fall and break your leg, who's going to come?
I remember like whenever I used to hear my dad's stories, and he used to tell me about what life used to be like in their time, and I used to be like, what sort of a world is this? Like, makes no sense to me. Like, he used to tell me the story of when they had to make phone calls.
Yeah, right.
There was a phone station in the village or
and you had
the
to
city.
book it, right?
You had to go. You had to make a reservation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have to book it. Yeah.
You have to book the call, and then they'll ask you standard or premium. Because standard is garbage. You can't hear anything.
I mean, what you're saying right now must be like, news or to a lot of people are like, what? Like, you have to book this?
Yeah, you have to book the phone call, and then you have to go at this time and then make your phone call. And that person would last barely a couple of minutes. But that was life. And now we live in this world where I can call America right now and talk. Normally get the information there. We have internet on our phone.
And the most important thing is call America right now for free.
For free, exactly.
For free. You can call for free.
It's crazy like what humanity is now going through. That's why I'm saying it's very historic times, because this is the age where proper globalizations happened. We
Yeah.
always read about globalization. We thought it was just planes going back and forth much more frequently. This is like
That's
if
our
there-
education, I would say.
Yes,
Like planes
exactly.
going back and forth, you know.
Yeah, if there's a trend in South Korea, it's
Yeah.
reached here already.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Before we used to say, oh, the fashion sense in America will come to India 4-5. No more.
Yeah.
It's instant, and it's not only for a few 1-2% of India's top
No, it's
class.
for everybody.
It's everyone. Your driver
everybody.
has a phone. Your maid has a phone, and when she's bored, your watchman and everyone, they're watching it. They're consuming that data.
Yeah,
which
more
they
than
were
exactly
never-
that was coming out. It's not your phone, it's your data.
Hmm.
You know, everybody had a phone before. Like it was like it was not a smartphone. Like, you know, that's what's changed it, I think. You know, until then you had like GPRS and like, you know, you had BBM where you could message your friends and, you know, you could like add, and that was like the coolest thing ever. But right now it's just data. Like, you know, you can watch whatever you want on your phone. Like people are consuming data like never before.
Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing?
Both. I mean, like, it's a good thing because people must be getting smarter, but bad thing because it's a tool also, like, you know, being one, like my dad, like, let's take the example of my father. Like, he believes anything that comes on WhatsApp. Like, you know, he gets that, he gets a forward and he's like, oh my God, this is going to happen. I'm like, no, like, this is really
Same,
not,
same,
yeah,
same.
this is not going to happen. Like, you know, come on, like, you know, this is just,
Well, it's on the phone.
yeah, it's on the phone
It's
and it's
on
on
the phone.
WhatsApp, so it must be true. You know, so the distinction between what's right and what's wrong and what is rational and what's not rational is lost. But I feel that otherwise, yes, it's a great tool to connect with people, and you know, you can talk to your loved ones anytime. There's like video calling, and you never feel very far away. Of course, physical
Basically,
meeting
also,
physically is
what's
very
very
different.
important is that kid who's hungry for knowledge,
Yeah.
but could not get to that knowledge because he didn't have the funds or the economic status to get to that knowledge, is now available.
So basically, you're saying colleges are going to be obsolete.
Colleges will be obsolete 110% for sure.
Yeah.
Like my banker calls me saying, sir, would you like to start your daughter's college fund already right now? I'm like, no, I don't think colleges will exist
Yeah.
by that time because it makes no sense. Because whatever data is being taught in Harvard is now readily available. You have
Everywhere.
to search it. You have to look
Yeah.
in the correct directions, but it's there. And that's the democratization or the removing of obstacles by the internet, which it was originally meant to be. Everything starts off with cat gifs and memes and everyone brushes it aside. But what it's become,
Yeah.
man, it's shocking. It's really, really shocking. I think it's for the best, really,
Yeah.
honestly, what
I agree with you.
100%,
Yeah.
because what is, I think it's for the best is the amount of data we are getting now is so much more than what we were getting in 1800s, for example. The amount of data you would get in your entire life was just your village and the neighboring village. You
I
had
mean, like
no,
there was this article that said that, you know, your smartphone today, your iPhone today, has as much computing power as one of the Apollo missions.
Yeah.
You know, that was in the 50s or the 60s, whenever it was. I mean, like, so you can just imagine, like, we've launched with this much computing power, we've launched people or like a spaceship to the moon.
Yeah.
You know, and that's in your hand. It's in your hand. It's in your everyday hand. And what are we using it for? Selfies.
selfies, TikTok.
Yeah,
all
TikTok.
that. No, but of course, there will always be a percentage of people who do not really want to get smart. A
Yeah,
lot of them
yeah,
are just,
yeah.
they are not really hungry for it. They just want to be entertained. A lot of people have no idea what GST...
Time pass karenge.
Time pass karna hai. They have no idea what GST also stands for or anything stands for.
I don't know what GST means. I don't know the full form of GST. I know we file it and how we file it.
Goods and services tax.
Oh yeah, shit. My bad.
So yeah, it's just, it's very, very entertaining time as well to just see what's coming out of this particular thing.